Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Council's Ordinary Meeting for Monday, the 27th of February 2023. Item 1.1, attendance. Ms Weatherall, are there any apologies?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've got two apologies today, Councillor Jim Memeti and Councillor Bob Milkovic. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1.2, acknowledgement of traditional owners of the land. Council acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pays our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, while also recognising their deep and continuing connections to climate, culture and country. We also pay our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders and acknowledge their journey. Item 1.3, offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening will be offered by Dr Iftikhar Ahmed from the Omar Farouk Mosque, Doveton, a member of the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. Can I ask everyone to please stand?
Thank you very much. Dear Madam Mayor, respected councillors and executive members, Assalamu alaikum. I will not take longer time, but in few or short seconds or minutes, I will start my prayer with a speech of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that Abu Huraira, that's the name of person. He narrates that once the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was speaking to us when a person came and he asked him, when will be the last day? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued his talk. Some of those present thought that he had heard him but disliked the interruption, and the other said that he had not heard him. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, concluded his speech, he asked, where is the man who inquired about the last day? The man replied, here I am. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, when the practice of honoring trust is lost, expect the last day. He asked, how could it be lost? He replied, when the government and the responsibilities are entrusted to undeserving people, then wait for the last day. Today, Alhamdulillah, we are very happy that the responsibilities are given to the deserving people. Therefore, I ask Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, to give power and strength to Madam Mayor, the councillors and the senior executive team to serve Australia, serve the community in better way. And I ask Allah, the most merciful, to guide them to the right decisions in all their career and their future administrative life. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr Ahmed. Item 1.4, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Garad, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 1.5, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest, Ms Weatherall?
No, Madam Mayor, not that have been brought to my attention.
Thank you. Item 2, Officers' Reports Part 1, 2.1, Documents for Sealing, 2.1.1, Documents for Sealing. Moved by Councillor Tan, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Tan.
I don't have any question, just want to make a statement. Is that okay?
We can do that
Yeah,
after.
okay.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just want to congratulate, this is a letter of recognition to Michelle Gills, Executive Assistant to CEO for 20 years of service to the Greater Dandenong City Council, and also a letter of recognition to Jane Curses, Community Service for 20 years of service to the City of Greater Dandenong City Council, and last one, a letter of recognition to Sharon McInnes, Corporate Services for 10 years of service to the City of Greater Dandenong. Thank you. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Item 2.2, documents for tabling. 2.2.1, documents for tabling. Moved by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso, seconded by Councillor Troung. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.2.2, petitions and joint letters. Moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.3, statutory planning applications. 2.3.1, planning delegated decisions issued January 2023. Moved by Councillor Garad, seconded by Councillor Long. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.3.2, planning decisions issued by Planning Minister's Delegate, January 2023. Moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Garad. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.3.3, town planning application number 28, Cambria Road, Keysborough. Planning application number PLN 22/0304. Moved by Councillor O'Reilly, seconded by
just want a second, but want to change a few amendment to the actual application.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tan. Okay, would you like to state the amendments that you'd like to move?
Just regarding to this application, it's about the warehouse in Keysborough, located on the 28 Cambria Road, Keysborough. Based on the actual height of the building, as we know that the height is a bit higher around, which is not really equivalent to the neighbourhood area. So I just want to add on the condition of the notice at the end of the report, if we can reduce the height lower to the maximum of 9 metres instead of 10.
Okay.
So the first motion needs the motion on the table is a substituting motion, so we need a second. She can put that up as well.
Okay. Okay. So with the original motion, we need a seconder, given that Councillor O'Reilly has moved it. And then we can look at an amendment.
If no one seconds it, the motion will lapse.
Okay.
So if you can submit the alternative.
Okay. All right, so no one is seconding the original motion.
I'll second this original motion.
Okay, so moved by Councillor O'Reilly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso. Is there any opposition? Sorry, are there any questions first? To the original, because we had moved the original. Yes. So we're up to questions. Are there any questions, councillors? No questions? Okay. Now, is there any opposition to the original
I indicate
motion?
opposition.
Okay. Opposed by Councillor Dark. So I'll now ask Councillor O'Reilly to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. The application and the officer's response is in the agenda papers. I think some of the important parameters are that the warehouse is 10 metres high in its tallest part and 8.4 metres in the part that is closest to residents, so some of whom appear to have objected. It's a warehouse for solar equipment and other uses, and also another pertinent parameter is that there's a 9 metre height limit in the residential area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Deputy Mayor Lana Formoso, would you like to speak to the item, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to second this simply due to the recommendations that are clearly stated here that there's absolutely no reason for us to not consider this proposal. It's compliant under our graduate planning scheme. All of the objections have been considered and answered, and I believe that this is justifiable and this application should definitely be supported. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Dark, as first opposition, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I will rise to speak against this item that's in the agenda. Cambria Road is by no means a new area or a new acknowledgement to the council issues that we currently have. This was formerly a part of the Paperbuck Ward, to when I represented Paperbuck Ward, and the residents of Festival Crescent for a very long time have had a lot of issues with this site and with Cambria Road coming close to a residential area. The materials recycling that occurs, the automotive dismantling, the heavy industrial uses of the site are a significant issue for the area and for residents who do have the unfortunate circumstances of backing onto this development in Festival Crescent. This development itself actually doesn't conform with the scope in the street. If you look at it from Cambria Road facing the development, on the right-hand side is a very low-lying grey shed that is Sri Lankan Auto Parts. There's other factories nearby which are single-storey brick factories which would be no higher than 5.5 metres height. Next door to that there's a laneway, and next door to that is some more land with some more low-lying sheds. On the opposite side of the road, to which abuts the Dali Aluminium, to abuts larger industrial areas, you can have higher warehouses because it doesn't impact the residential amenity. On this side of the street, how close it is to the residents and the concerns that the residents have raised is clearly an indictment of the 41 opposition members of our community who are in opposition to this development. Very rarely does this council face members in the community having 41 people against it. And those members have raised significant concerns to do with the height, the shadowing, the overbearingness and the nature of the construction, and the issues which is affected by these. And clearly, if you look at the location of the objectors, they're all in Festival Crescent. They're all nearby in the surrounding streets who are deeply concerned about their residential amenity being impacted. And the applicant has made significant, I suppose, advances trying to cover up and trying to work out a way to end up in a situation where they're able to, I suppose, build the development. A very large acoustic panelling fence, which is personally just one of the most ugliest things you possibly can have. We see the same thing which has happened in Summerfield, in the new part of Keysborough, with Indian Drive. There's very large warehouses that dominate the skyline as you drive down Summerfield Drive. All you can see when you drive down is a massive back of a warehouse that abuts and fronts onto another street. And that's something that people shouldn't be in a situation to have as such an inconvenience. The other issue I have with this site is actually in the bottom of a dip and prone to substantial flooding. On the flooding maps you can see provided there's a very large circle that's been drawn in the middle of the site because this site is one of those ones that holds a significant amount of water in the area. Now, to say that then in the items and the dot points after the 32nd amendment to their plans is the property is identified to be subject to flooding.
You've got 1 minute, Councillor Dark.
Is to be subject to flooding in major rain events, and an application and the report of consent of flooding is required, and the asset management team is to be contacted. So in essence, what we've got before us is a planning application which is significantly floods, which has significant issues that have not been addressed but for council officers to then come have a look in the future. And it is one that is overbearing development for the residents nearby, and that is why I will not be supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Are there any other speakers either for or against? Councillor Garad.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I'd like to support my fellow councillor, Councillor Dark, who has eloquently pointed out the number of issues that have been identified with this application. 41 objections. I don't recall ever having 41 objections to any planning application in my time in council, and I think the people have spoken. They're greatly concerned, and for the issues, I won't go over the issues again, as Councillor Dark has very adequately outlined those issues, but they're substantial and they're significant, and I think we should pay attention to them.
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Any further speakers to this item? No. And right of reply, Councillor O'Reilly, as the mover.
Point of order. Does the amendment get dealt with, or
It was an alternate, not an amendment.
So it was an alternate, not an
anticipating an alternate motion?
No.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up, Mayor. So I've listened to the objectors. They've listed no planning reasons. I haven't seen any alternate motion regarding any planning reasons for refusing this application, whereas in the report we have all the planning reasons for approving the application. Mayor, we've just had a whole lot of things about like materials recycling around the area, which don't see impinge on this application at all, and acoustic walls, which you would have thought is a good thing for an industrial area to have, to protect the area from, protect the residents from noise and so on. So I think, Mayor, if we are fair and objective decision makers, we shouldn't be making an important decision like this based on the number of objections, but we should be, because we know that sometimes objections can be organised to lift the number of objections, and I don't know whether that has or has not happened on this occasion, but as fair and objective decision makers, we should be going on the substance of the objections on planning grounds, because we know the consequences of this is that potentially condition, if it goes through to VCAT, it'll again be another large cheque to lawyers who represent the council at VCAT, and also potentially conditions being removed, making the outcome worse for residents. So on all those grounds, Mayor, I think that we should proceed and support the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. So all those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Councillor Troung, Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Long, Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso, Councillor Lim and Mayor Foster. All those against, please raise your hand. Councillor Garad, Councillor Tan and Councillor Dark. The motion is carried. Item 2.3.4, Town Planning Application Number 48 to 50 Smith Road, Springvale. Planning Application Number PLN 22/0400. Moved by Councillor O'Reilly, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition?
Opposition to this one.
Opposed by Councillor Dark. Councillor O'Reilly, would you like to speak to the item, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to explain planning applications all night if I have to. This one I've been through. This is a local brewer. They're not going to become another liquor land. What they are going to do is just offer some sales at their premises, which I would expect would complement themselves as a local brewer. And this is a non-residential area, largely, Mayor, and I think that we should be supporting businesses post-COVID, not trying to get in their way. In this case, they just want a small adjunct to what they are currently doing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillor Lim, as the seconder, would you like to speak to the item?
Thank you, Mayor. According to this plan application, I haven't got any objection whatsoever, therefore why I decided to, approve this sort of application. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Councillor Dark, in opposition, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. I rise to oppose this item as well. And I know Councillor O'Reilly is getting excited, but we only have 2 planning applications on the agenda tonight. So don't get too excited, Councillor O'Reilly. You'll be home by 9:30. I am in firm opposition to this. I have deep concerns about the location of it and the servicing of the issues that are at hand. There are multiple industrial properties that I've seen over the years, some in our municipality, some within the city of Monash, one in particular in the city of Monash I can think of, that sells brewing equipment, that sells prepackaged liquor and those sort of things. And the issues that do come from that area are of deep concern. Having packaged liquor being sold in the middle of an industrial area is the precursor of issues. No question about it at all. You see this in the microbreweries within the industrial areas that open up. Consistently the police are being called. Consistently there are issues at hand. And we are seeing this rise and rise and rise again. It is an issue when you've got an area like Smith Road, whilst the planning application states is in the heart of an industrial area, is suitable for where it is. It's actually only a couple hundred metres away from McWilliam Street. From heading up further towards Police Road, a large amount of residential amenity is within a short walking distance of this facility. To be selling packaged liquor to people coming and going without having a lot of traffic driving by, without having a lot of site issues, is always the start of issues that we have in this municipality. And we do have issues around alcohol, around the consumption of alcohol and alcohol-related violence in this municipality. And to open up a prepackaged liquor company or shop within an area like this, so close to an area without having proper resources in place, poses a significant threat, and it's something that I'm not willing to support.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Are there any other speakers either for or against this item? Okay. Right of reply, Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. I haven't heard any. I've heard some assertions of why we should refuse the application, but no evidence whatsoever, just something that packaged liquor is generally bad. It's 200 metres away from a residential house, and as soon as it opens, the police are going to start getting called, which again I would love to see if there is any facts behind those assertions at all, and I might change my mind, but until then I think we have to go on what this is on the face of it, is that it's a small craft brewer in an industrial area that just wants, as an adjunct to their business, to sell some packaged liquor. And council should not be getting in their way on this occasion. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. So all those in favour of this item, please raise your hand. Councillor Troung, Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Tan, Councillor Long, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Formoso, Councillor Lim and Councillor Foster. All those against, please raise your hand. Councillor Garad and Councillor Dark. That is 7 for and 2 against. I declare the item carried. Item 3, question time public. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And we've got a few questions this evening. The first is from Nina Kelly of Keysborough concerning Keysborough Community Hub. Can Council please provide the community with an update on the construction timeline of Keysborough Community Hub? The journey of community consultation began over 8 years ago. The community understands that construction constraints due to COVID and material costs may have impacted the delivery of the hub to the community. However, there's been no update on the dedicated Keysborough South Community Hub Facebook page managed by Council for this community since the 5th of September 2019. The community acknowledges that multiple private daycare facilities are currently under construction and government schemes have influenced kindergarten planning. The aim of the hub is a third space designated to support the entire life cycle of a community, not only the early years. Drawing to Council's attention that Keysborough South Action Group began the campaign for the kindergarten and community hub prior to the campaign for a new local primary school. In the meantime, the state government has managed to purchase land and build a new primary school for the community. Noting that this primary school opened in 2020 and is now in its 4th year of opening, to cater to 2023 enrolment numbers, the school has recently constructed new portables to meet demand. Can I ask Mr Kersley to answer this, please?
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Mr Kearsley, please.
Through you, Mayor, and I thank Nina Kelly for this question. It is overdue with regards to the decision that we hope to get tonight, noting that the Council report to award the contract follows this particular public questions section. And I'd like to thank Nina Kelly and her team of residents down there in terms of the actions they've taken over the last 8 or 9 years in terms of where we are with this project today. The construction contract, if awarded tonight, being the end of February 2023, we will aim to commence construction in May or June of this year, 2023. The projected completion time frame is August 2024, and the website information and other relevant media will be updated post tonight's decision by Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next question is from Brett Stanley of Keysborough, who elected to ask the question in person. Is Mr Stanley here this evening? No. If he's not, then I'll be happy to read it out, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
It concerned parking signage at Allen Reserve. Why can't we get no parking signs at Allen Reserve, Emerson Street? I've lived here for over a year and both myself and my neighbours have made multiple complaints, the only answer being extra parking patrols, which has not changed a thing. Maybe patrols finish when people park illegally. I personally have encountered aggression from people when I asked them to move their car. They told me there's nothing saying that they can't park there and they didn't move it. This is preventing access for emergency vehicles, council vehicles and us rate-paying residents into our own homes. I personally need to back a trailer into my garage and I can't when people park in this manner. I have blocked people in because I have no access, hoping for a fine to contest, thinking maybe it might spark change, but I haven't received one. Something needs to change. And can I ask Mr Kearsley to answer this, please?
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to thank Brett Stanley for the question. With regards to the matters he's raised, thank you for raising those matters. They are very familiar to us. We can appreciate the frustration caused when vehicles are parked illegally, which may interfere with access to adjacent properties, including yours. Of note is Council's service vehicles, including waste collection vehicles, that have not really raised issues regarding restricted access to this gate or in the turning area, given the available space to perform various turning manoeuvres. I'm aware that officers of Council have previously investigated this matter and corresponded with you on multiple occasions identifying no stopping signage or yellow edge sign markings that are not supported at this particular location. The reason being it is illegal to park in front of a gate or access way by default without the need for signage or line marking indicating as such. Parking restrictions need to be applied in a consistent manner across the municipality to limit the potential confusion to road users. I'm advised patrols are occurring and parking infringements have been issued to vehicles parked illegally. These patrols will continue and parking infringements issued as necessary. While some drivers may choose to park illegally for their own convenience, hopefully via these ongoing enforcement activities, parking behaviours will improve over time. I can also advise that with regards to the opportunity for parking enforcement patrols to extend to 9 p.m, we are very hopeful that these can commence in the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Keasley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next question is from Louise Willoughby of Springvale and concerns the Noble Park Aquatic Centre gym. Nearly a month after opening the NPAC gym, it's still not operating as a 24-hour gym. What's causing the delay to moving to the advertised 24 operation? When is it expected to be rectified, and are there any plans to offer extended opening hours in the interim, particularly on weekends when it currently closes at 6 p.m? Can I ask Mr Forster to answer this, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Forster.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Louise Willoughby, for your question. Due to construction delays, the NPAC Health Club opened to the community on the 31st of January 2023. South East Leisure has had a limited time since opening to finalise the setup and configuration of important safety and access control features that are critical for 24-hour operations. As member and staff safety is an absolute priority, South East Leisure are planning to increase access hours only when all safety measures and access controls are in place and tested. South East Leisure are currently assessing staffed hours, which does include a review of increasing hours on weekends past 6 p.m. The South East Leisure team are proud to have successfully opened the facility, and during the first month of operations have implemented Les Mills virtual group fitness classes. Across the next few months, members will also enjoy the addition of MyZone heart rate tracking technology and nightlife music, which will further enhance the atmosphere in this fantastic new facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the next question is from Gay Guest of Keysborough and concerns review of Greater Dandenong Heritage Study 1999. When is this study going to be reviewed? Because now it is a historical document in itself. We can no longer wait for the study to be strategically discussed whilst working out costs funding while significant buildings and structures are at risk. What protection and what number on the current study is the James Building circa 1920, the Watcher Building circa 1954, the Noble Park Public Hall circa 1925, all of whom have been ignored in the consultation process and the panel hearing process and now on agenda item 4.2.1? And how will these buildings and the church precinct be protected once the amendment is passed from being overdeveloped or altered? The new heritage study is well overdue and cannot be delayed any longer, given the elephants in the room are still the unknown decision of C233G, a state government decision that council doesn't get a say in, and VRC-MRC proposal to sell off Sandown Racecourse. We are at the sticky point now that is being pushed because of tonight's upcoming decision and unspoken agendas. There can be no more delays around this sensitive issue. There is no trust in what will be decided tonight, and there have been too many loose documents this century that don't protect our heritage and the village feel of our suburbs. Examples are the overdevelopments of Aspire, Calibre and 220 Chapel Road, and that is 1 kilometre stretch of Chapel Road, which reminds us daily just how unprotected our community assets are, and this loophole must be tightened immediately. Can I ask our Acting Director for Planning and Development to answer this, please?
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the question, Ms Guest. I can advise that council officers have commenced a review of the Greater Dandenong Heritage Study, and this is being undertaken in stages. Stage 1 involves the review of the existing sites within the municipality that have a heritage overlay currently to determine if they remain suitable for heritage overlay protection. Officers undertook a tender process for Stage 1 late in 2022, however did not receive any tender responses. Officers are now undertaking a further targeted tender process. Subject to receiving suitable tender responses, it is anticipated to commence this review before the end of the current financial year. Potential future stages, including identifying additional sites, will be determined once Stage 1 is completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And we have another question from Ms Guest of Keysborough concerning Dandenong traffic issues. Visiting the Dandenong Market yesterday for the festival was an eye-opener from 9:45am to 1pm. Was the congested traffic conditions on entering and leaving a normal Sunday experience or added to because of the festival? I was sincerely concerned, especially on exiting the overflow car park in Stewart Street, and needed local knowledge to exit Dandenong safely. I'm surprised there was not a serious accident or severe road rage incident, as people double parked and blocked traffic flow in the car parks, let alone the surrounding streets. You want to build a community hub in this location? Seriously, have you done traffic counts and visibly witnessed the mayhem on a Sunday, let alone other trading days? I was told by council staff shoppers attend the market from 6am on a Sunday and the car parks start filling fast. So a community hub at this location is only going to exacerbate parking and traffic problems. I think a review is seriously needed before plans for a hub go any further. It was out of control and stood out because I'm not familiar with these types of stressful situations. So do all events at the market generate this amount of traffic weekly? So an ill-placed hub will always be impacted. Can I ask Mr Kersley to answer this question, please?
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Ms Guest, for the question, and through you, Mayor. Any festival or additional activity in Dandenong Market is likely to add to pressures on parking availability, especially if it is as successful as most events are at this location. There is always significant community interest in both the market and events held there. What we can do is provide the feedback you provided to the market with regards to any future planning on other events. With regard to the community hub, it is expected that some of the parking will be shared with the market and surrounding car parking areas, such as those along Clough Street and even within the neighbouring shopping centre. The hub will also be required to provide its own parking on the current vacant council-owned sites, and that has been planned for and provided on the plans that the community have made comment to. This assessment has been undertaken as part of the current development of the options for the community's consideration. Further details with regards to any impact on parking movements will be made at a later time once Council has formally made its decision with regards to the option and the development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this is the last question for this evening from Carmel Puglisi of Dandenong concerning the Dandenong Community Hub concept plan. What is the status and timeframes for finalisation of Dandenong Community Hub concept design, and also when is the detailed design plan to be started? Can I ask Mr Forster to answer this, please?
Thank you. Mr Forster.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Carmel Puglisi, for your question. The results from consultation in late 2022 to determine a preferred concept design for the Dandenong Community Hub have been prepared into a report now, which is currently scheduled to be presented to councillors in March of 2023. Then, based on further council instruction, a report will subsequently be scheduled for a formal council meeting endorsement. Following endorsement by council, the project page on the website will be updated and all stakeholders advised of the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Item 4, Officers' Reports Part 2, 4.1 Contracts, 4.1.1, 2122, sorry, I'll start again, 2122-52, Construction of Keysborough South Community Hub. Moved by Councillor Garad, seconded by Councillor Dark. It's almost a competition here. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition?
Just got a question.
Oh, question, yes. No, we've got a question. Councillor Tan, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to the relevant officers through you, Mayor, I just want to know, just based on this contract, because we did had a few review contracts since years back. So I just want to know, in terms of the cost, how much does increase since we estimated from the last quote? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you. The pre-QS estimate, which was before we put it out to tender, was approximately 21.5 million. So this within reason, this has come in within that QS and also within budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Are there any other questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. I can see Councillor Garad would like to speak to this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. And it's right and proper that I'm speaking right now. It is a great day for the residents of Keysborough. It's a long, long wait they've had, as Ms Kelly pointed out, 8 years. In that time, schools have been built, people have moved on with their lives, things have moved on. But those residents have continued to advocate fervently for this facility. And this facility will be, it will add to the quality of life of the residents of this area significantly. This is a state-of-the-art facility. This is a facility that will offer high-quality childcare, library services. It will be a place to meet, mingle, grow, learn, educate. This will become the heart of the centre of the Keysborough area, and it is a significant occasion and a great day and a long day coming. And I wish to thank the Nina Kellys and the committees that have fought so hard and have never given up that fight. COVID has put a huge set this back enormously, but we have still battled on, and the officers have battled on, the community have battled on, and we have finally arrived at this great day, and it is a day for celebration.
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. How do I beat that? I suppose it's a good question. Well, I want to echo the sentiment of Councillor Garad. This has been over 8 years in the making. From when I was first elected, it's been 2,373 days. And when I was first elected, Nina Kelly messaged me and said, this is what's going on. We're looking for a place to hold a community hub. And it has been a long 2,373 days. But to finally get to a stage now where this is going to be built is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It has taken a long time. There's been a lot of adaptations as to what facilities this requires, what can be invested in, how we can get up to a scratch where it's somewhere people can go and meet. What we don't want is something like the Jen Wilson Centre that's sterile, it's run down, nobody goes there except for a lunch every now and then. We want somewhere people can go and hang out, something that has state-of-the-art facilities. And within the Keysborough area, there's nowhere for people to go. There's nowhere for people to go apart from Parkmore Shopping Centre or the Keysborough South Shopping Centre. There's just nothing. And to have a facility that has everything under one area, there's a lot of younger families moving into the Keysborough area, a lot of them that require and look for services, that are looking for areas of state-of-the-art where they can then go and ensure that they've got all the facilities, youth services, childcare, there's cooking, kitchen classes, community meeting rooms, community lounge rooms, consulting suites for maternal child health, you name it, this is going to have it. And it's very exciting to see this commence shortly. And I look forward to hopefully being at the opening as well.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Are there any other speakers to this item? It is a long-awaited item and it is an exciting moment for Keysborough and Keysborough South residents, but also the municipality. Item 4.2, Policy and Strategy. 4.2.1, Planning Scheme Amendment C224GDAN, Noble Park Major Activity Centre, consideration of panel report. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor. Moved by Councillor Garad, seconded by Councillor Tan. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Sorry, you should have said move with the question.
Yeah.
If you want.
Now's a question time. So
I'll ask.
Do you have a question, Councillor Garad?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to wait for the second mover?
We have a seconder.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I do have a question for the relevant officer through you, Mayor. There are two things that I would like to ask. One is, how does this prevent excessive development of developments over six stories? And my second question is around, does it impact the existing deeds, the deeds that are currently held by the community in terms of the town hall and the community centre?
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor Garad. Yes, in terms of future development, what this planning scheme amendment actually does is provide some guidelines and some structure around what can be approved or what can be approved and put some limitations on what will be supported moving forward. Currently in Noble Park, we have no controls in terms of heights. So in theory, someone could come in and apply for a 12-storey building tomorrow and it would be difficult for council to be able to refuse that. With this planning scheme amendment in place, it would provide some controls and limit the heights of buildings to 4, 5 or 6 storeys depending on the site. So it provides greater control and benefit for Noble Park and provides that balance between it being that village feel versus the major activity centre that it is as it's identified by the state government. So hopefully it will improve the future development of Noble Park in a more sustainable and preferred way. In terms of the second question with regards to deeds, like all planning matters, whilst planning may allow a certain type of development, say up to 4 stories, if there's another legal mechanism that site is subject to, that still needs to be met. So in the example, if there's a trust deed that says it can't be developed past 2 stories, then that would probably would limit it still back to the 2 stories. So all of the legal mechanisms need to be met on a site before it can be developed. It's not just the planning. So the deed may further restrict what could occur on the site.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Any further questions, Councillor Garad?
Yeah, just one further question, and I thank the officer for his response. So I understand that the deeds are not impacted, and that that does not in any way override those deeds. My last question is about setbacks and the setback requirements for the development, so that they do not impinge on the current residential properties surrounding that area.
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, all of the residential properties will still be required to have a 5-metre setback as they're developed. And in terms of the commercial development as well, whilst in most scenarios it can be built to the street frontage, it can only be built up to 2 stories or 3 stories at street frontage. Then it has to be set further back in to ensure that it's not any future buildings are not visually dominant in the streetscape. So whilst there's height controls, there's also setback controls to ensure we get appropriate development.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Are there any other questions, councillors, regarding this item? Councillor Tan, did you have a question?
Thank you, Councillor do next. Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just regarding to these amendments through you, Mayor. So it's about, well, this is to do with the Noble Park Activity Centre that was proposed last year in May 2021. So my question to do with the design overlay for Schedule 5 for the area that kind of under design that's covered this area. So what will be effect in the future for the resident paying council rate under this amendment scheme? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the question, Councillor Tan. From a rates perspective, we have checked with our rates team, and this planning scheme amendment will make no change to the rates for a site. However, if a site is developed in the future, then it may be subject to a change in its rates, which is the same with any site across Victoria effectively. But this amendment won't make any direct changes.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillor Tan?
Thank you, and also just confirm one more thing. So in terms of building up to 6-storey heights, so each property needs to have at least 2,000 square metres. Is that correct? Thanks.
Mr Jackson, please.
Through you again, Madam Mayor. Yes, that is correct. The only sites that can go to 6 stories are what we call our key redevelopment sites, and they are large sites that often need to be consolidated and have a minimum area of 2,000 square metres. So yes, it is only the very large sites that can go to that height.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Any further questions, councillors? Is there any opposition to this item? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.3 Other. 4.3.1 Response to Notice of Motion 21 Resourcing Council's Environmental Responsibilities Going Forward. Moved by Councillor Garad, seconded by... Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Riley. Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Councillor Garad, would you like to speak to this item?
It just keeps getting better this day, Madam Mayor. I thank the relevant officers that have put this quite difficult report together. Benchmarking these items have not been an easy task, and I thank them for the due diligence they showed in developing this. What we can see in this report is the extraordinary range of outputs from our council around sustainability and the environment, and some of those are required by current legislation, and many of those have been outlined in the many strategies, many of the great strategies we now have in place. Dandenong punches above its weight in terms of sustainability and the environment. The staff are currently doing an extraordinary job, and we saw that on the weekend at the Sustainability Festival. But clearly, they are under-resourced. Clearly, this report shows that compared to similar councils in surrounding areas, our council are doing it pretty tough in terms of the resources they have to fulfil this really important work. So this is an important report. I thank my fellow councillors for supporting this report, and I do hope that we consider it as required when the budget comes around.
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. And I actually disagree with what Councillor Garrad's saying, but I will say that this item clearly shows that in the pretences of where we're going at the moment, when you have a lot of policies and a lot of green tape or red tape in place, that it certainly affects council's bottom lines and it affects where things are. And there's a very key saying a lot that is being published on social media that go woke, go broke. So we'll see how we go in the budget deliberations and see where we end up.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Item 4.3.2. Report on matters discussed at councillor briefing sessions and pre-council meetings. Moved by Councillor Long.
Happy to second that.
Seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.3.3. List of registered correspondence to Mayor and Councillors. Moved by
Happy to move that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso, seconded by Councillor Troung. Are there any questions? Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick one. Wondering if I could get a copy of the letter that you received from the Minister Ross Spence for community sport in regards to the proposed Dandenong Wellbeing Centre for the funding. So if I could just get a copy of that, please.
Of course.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 5, notices of motion. As there's no notices of motion, we'll move on to item 6. Reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. Councillor Troung, may I start with you, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the last weekends, I worked with SAMVAC to distribute over 24,000 red dead kits and over 20,000 face masks, which provided by the Health Department to SAMVAC. We provide at the Lunar New Year's festivals at Sunshine, Richmond, Springvale, and 11 associations. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Troung. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got one question this meeting without notice to the Acting Director of Planning, and the context is that I was speaking with a resident who was extremely frustrated because they'd had someone park over their driveway and basically boxed in, so they couldn't leave to do what they wanted to do. This happened outside of normal business hours. The resident contacted council and the council out of hours service, and the council, apparently this is what the resident reported, that they were told that to contact the police, and the resident contacted the police and the police said contact the council. So extremely frustrating for the residents. So just wanted to ask the Acting Director regarding our website, because I've had a look, it's not clear on our website who is responsible when this happens. So when someone parks over your driveway, what do you do? So if that could be made clearer on the Greater Dandenong website, and also sort of easy to follow instructions on what is allowed regarding on-street parking. Is there a minimum number of metres that someone has to be from someone's driveway, etc.? And just like a step-by-step process that someone can follow if they if they experience this, because I can imagine it would be extremely frustrating. Mayor, that's the first part. The second part is regarding our out-of-hours service, and this might be better answered by the CEO, but regarding our out-of-hours service, do we have any SLAs regarding response time, both when they call and when the complaint or incident is triaged? Or is there any SLA as to when the incident gets resolved, etc.? And I would like, as a councillor, to receive some sort of reporting on these things, because I know that we've had some questions raised about our out-of-hours contact number and service in the past. So, you know, things like what's the median average response time, median average resolution time, how many calls they get, etc. So there's quite a bit there. It is, I'm answering the question without notice, so see how we go. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Mr Jackson, do you want to perhaps answer the first part, and Ms Weatherall?
Mr Jackson, do you want to answer, or I'm happy to provide an interim answer? Do you know much about that?
I can answer part of the first one.
All right, you answer the first part, I'll answer the second part.
Thank you, Mr Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor O'Reilly. Yes, in terms of people parking over driveways, Council can issue infringement notices with regards to that. In terms of moving vehicles on, we do have limited powers with respect to that immediately. And with regards to our process and the website, yeah, I'm certainly happy to take that back to the team tomorrow, and we can start to investigate what we can do to make it simpler for residents in terms of understanding who to contact in the first instance and what we can and can't do when those situations arise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Ms Weatherall, please.
Madam Mayor, further to that, Mr Bossman has also mentioned recently at Council that he's extending the hours for patrols till 8 p.m. for exactly this type of reason, although this particular incident may have been outside those hours. So I think it would be best if we take it on notice and get all the details in this particular incident and then follow that up as an incident. And then I'll also come back at a later point regarding our approach to standard operating procedures for out of hours.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Any further questions, Councillor? No. Councillor Garad, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge how successful yesterday's Sustainability Festival was. Yourself, I was there, Deputy Mayor Lana Formoso and Councillor Lim all saw for ourselves how successful the festival was. We saw the extraordinary number of educational stands, interactive, engaging standing, including hugging chickens, and it was tremendous to see the amount of kids that were so delighted by the things they were learning, the extraordinary amount of education that was taking place on native plants, and the enthusiasm of the staff was really infectious too. It was a great day, and I congratulate everyone involved, and I look forward to hearing about the numbers, because I think they'll be considerable. We heard from question time from a gay guest that parking was difficult. I go to that market every single weekend, and I have never seen traffic of that scale ever there. So that's how successful the festival was, and that's the appetite that people in Dandenong have for learning about how to have more sustainable lives. So I congratulate everyone involved. My first question tonight, Madam Mayor, is regarding an update on the EPA. I think the residents of Keysborough South have been waiting almost as long to meet with the EPA as they've been waiting for the Keysborough hub. Do we have an update on the critical odour issues we are experiencing in Keysborough South and the long-awaited meeting with the EPA?
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the question, Councillor Garad. I do have an update in part. I can advise that council officers have now been informed that a regional manager to deal with odour complaints has recently been appointed by the EPA. Councillors again confirmed with the EPA that the community is seeking feedback on numerous odour complaints lodged with them and seeking answers on what is being done by the EPA to improve air and water quality in our city. We've also been informed by the EPA that further compliance work has been undertaken on a number of industrial businesses in Dandenong South that are known to be causing detrimental odour impacts. However, we are yet to be informed as to when the consultation with the Keysborough residents will be held. We continue to pursue this with the EPA, and as soon as we are made aware of a date, we will ensure that councillors in the community are informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillor Garad.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate that because the residents have given up generously of their time and worked with the council in mapping the various odours that have been impacting the ward over a 12-month period. And I think they are owed the courtesy of a direct meeting with the EPA. And I think we've been waiting for over 8 months. So I really appreciate the council's effort in pursuing that. Madam Mayor, my next question is regarding the Greater Dandenong is the leading council in Australia for action on people seeking asylum, and our national leading action plans in 2014, 17, 2018 to 21 were well regarded and locally and nationally. Last year, I was told that the successor to the Greater Dandenong Asylum Seeker Refugee Action Plan 2018-21 was under development by the Greater Dandenong Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Committee. What is the status of the plan? When will there be public consultation? And when is the completed plan expected to be on our website?
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Garad, for your question. In mid-2022, members of the former Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Advisory Committee, or MAPSAC, approved a one-page thematic plan that details broad themes of potential engagement across both the people seeking asylum and multiculturalism space. The meetings of the 2nd August 2022 MAPSAC Advisory Committee meeting were tabled and noted at the Council meeting on 12th of September 2022. These minutes indicate that the next steps for the thematic plan implementation is to map out the appropriate networks and identify gaps and opportunities for working group formation. Membership of the MAPSAC is currently under review, with Council considering recommended member nominations at the 14th of March Council meeting 2023. Discussion on working group formation for the thematic plan will be included as an agenda item for the new MAPSAC members at the 23rd of March meeting. This will be the first meeting convened following Council endorsement of the new membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Councillor Garad, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As it progresses, it'd be good to know a date of the actual plan. Thank you. Thank you for your response. Madam Mayor, my next question is regarding the concept design for the Tatchwan Park Nature Sensory Trail for the Greater Dandenong schools and families. Madam Mayor, over a 12-month period, I've asked various questions about the progress of the concept design and have been told over various times that it is in progress. However, now I have been told that, in fact, there will be no consultation and that it would not progress because of lack of funding. But without the concept design, we cannot put it out for funding as well. So why was the decision made to cancel this consultation without councillor consultation, given the great community interest?
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I can advise that I do acknowledge there has been some delays in the development of the concept plan due to some staffing challenges. However, I can also advise that council officers are processing the finalisation of the draft concept design plan for the Tatchwan Park Nature Sensory Trail, and we do anticipate that this will be completed in the next 3 months. Once we've completed the draft, officers will arrange for a consultation process to be undertaken. As part of that, obviously, we'll be notifying residents that it's not currently funded and will be subject to a future funding bid. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillor Garad.
Thank you. Thank you for the response. My last question, Madam Mayor, is regarding the Living Melbourne Urban Forest Strategy Program. I have two questions and I'll read them together. What is our current involvement in the Living Melbourne Metropolitan Urban Forest Strategy Program? What are the names of all the programs that are occurring, and which ones are we involved with, and which ones are we not, and why? And is it true the program is under threat? After 30 years, it is under threat of folding because there is a lack of financial contribution to keep it going.
Thank you, Councillor Garad. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I can advise that the only program, Melbourne Urban Forest Living Melbourne program that council officers have been actively involved in recently is the development of a communications and engagement toolkit which occurred in March 2022. Since that time, we have not been able to have any contact with Living Melbourne, and it's our understanding that the program is currently sitting dormant. In terms of funding, Council Sustainability team have not been approached for any financial contributions regarding this program to date. However, officers will make contact with Living Melbourne this week to establish the current status of the program, and will circulate this information to councillors once we receive it.
Thank you, Mr Jackson.
Thank you for that. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that response. I'm good.
Thanks, Councillor Garad. Councillor Tan, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, just want to give an update on the report since the last council meeting. So just a few events that I attended to since this is from week commencing the 30th of January to the 26th of Feb. So on the 4th of February, I attended the 2023 annual Interfaith Breakfast, so celebrating the United Nations World Interfaith Harmony Weeks. On the same day, myself, you, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and Deputy Mayor, we visited the Noah Park CFA, which is to be briefed on the smoke alarms installation program that they would like to run in the actual Noah Park, also Keysborough, also in the Greater Dandenong, so which is a good news. I'll go through a few questions after that as well. On the 11th of June, on the 11th of February, I attended the opening of a dedication ceremony of the new site for the Salvation Army in Dandenong. So this how at the new site is near the Dandenong station at the Cattle Street, the entrance which is near the building, which is an amazing site. It's probably the biggest salvation hub in Greater Dandenong. So we've got a nice community hub area. There's a nice hall as well for praying for, interfaith, especially for mainly Christian to pray for as a church area. Also, we've got a kitchen, a commercial kitchen, and also there's place downstairs, and there's a op shop. Op shop in Salvation Army. It's a big place downstairs, which is affordable for all residents who want to purchase anything that will help the less fortunate. My question, so this is the first one that we attended the Noah Park CFA on the 4th of Feb. So at the moment with the CFA Noah Park, they're having a program which is introduced by state government, so they having at the moment around 20,000 of smoke alarms. So which is for all residents who ever need a smoke alarm to be installed, so which is free. You just need to contact the Noah Park CFA. So we just want to also help to promote this campaign as well, especially in the fire risk area in our Greater Dandenong. So through you, Mayor, just question through our community service, just to the Kylie. So just want to know if we can do something on our website or in the council news to advertise this campaign, because at the moment it's only around 20,000 smoke alarms to be started, but they probably have more if the campaign is going well. So free smoke alarm for residents lasts for 10 years and free installation as well. So if we can do anything that's to help to promote, that would be good. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Ms Bragg, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Tan, thank you for that. We were made aware of that campaign, and it will be featured in our next edition, which is April, so in the April edition of the Council magazine, and we'll help promote it wherever we can to let the community know about that great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bragg.
Thank you. Yeah, it doesn't need to be in Noah Park area. It could be in Keysborough or any other, in Greater Dandenong who are like the main risk in the fire area. So it would be great. Thank you. So my first question, this is regarding to the the graphic, the Sky Rail in Noble Park. Now you can see there's a graffiti everywhere on the actual railway. So if we can get the relevant officer to inspect, what else can we do to clean it? Because it looks really ridiculous at the moment. So on the top of the Sky Rail, you can see people just paint the graffiti everywhere on the actual rail, Sky Rail.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. So you're talking about actually on the Sky Rail infrastructure? Yeah, that's something, we'll bring that to the attention of Metro and VicTrack, because they are the responsible authorities if it's on their infrastructure to remove the graffiti off their properties, not council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Tan.
Can we pass that on to them? Or? Yeah, thank you. So next question, just regarding to through you, Mayor, to the relevant officer. Any response or update on the Lana Avenue, Buckley streetscape? I believe it's on the actual concept detail design completed last year in June. So what's the next progress on this project? Thank you.
Mr Kearsley, please.
I understand that received funding from the Noble Park Revitalisation Board. I believe they have their first meeting for 2023 tomorrow morning. That's something that we hope will get some clarity from that process, but the funding essentially was for design, and then we'll have to look at timing for the construction. So we hope after that meeting that we can give you and other councillors a full briefing.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Tan.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you. Councillor Long, please.
These are some of the events that I've attended since my last formal meeting. The 14th of February, I attended an online meeting for Road Safe South East. 17th of February, I attended an on-site meeting with the Afghan Sporting Group and Tom Cullen at Booth Reserve. The 20th of February, I attended a meeting of the Disability Advisory Committee. On the 22nd of February, I attended the 38th anniversary of the Italo-Spanish Club. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Formoso, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I too have been attending quite a few events, but I won't bore our residents with those. I'll get straight into some of the questions that I have. One of the questions I actually have is a resident contacted me that's in Springfield Court, Noble Park North, and there's been a bit of a crime spree that's happening in that area. It's a common theme I've been hearing within that vicinity, to be honest. Residents are a bit concerned that the lighting may not be great in that court, so if we could perhaps look at doing a bit of a lighting audit for this particular street. But I have noticed that there has been a lot more crime happening within my ward, which I have flagged with Vic Pol. But I also urge residents to contact Vic Pol if they do have any vehicle break-ins or any property damage, because a lot of residents aren't actually flagging these events, and so therefore we don't have the data. But if the relevant officer could just respond regarding the lighting audit, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. With regards to any lighting issues the community may have, they can certainly let us know, and we'll, if we could get off you that address, but any other areas or streets that you've identified or the residents have identified. What we do is we do an audit, a lighting audit. Depending on the outcome of that audit, we then notify the relevant power authority, lighting authority, to improve the lighting. That can take some months, but the best thing to do is to let us know. We'll then do an audit, and then we can advise the residents of the outcome of that audit.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mr Kearsley. I'll give you that address again later this evening. The other thing I would like to bring to Council's attention is I had a resident that contacted me in regards to wanting to change their mailing address of one of their for their property. And it seems to me that there was a lot of issues regarding this. We do have an online form that is available for residents to use. However, this is an elderly person who's currently living outside of the municipality and really wanted more of a streamlined way of being able to change their mailing address. The resident was extremely frustrated and angry because they found that everywhere else that they were doing this process, it was very simple. It was all done over the phone. There wasn't so much paperwork involved and red tape. So in the end, I actually went to the resident's house on a Sunday afternoon in person to have this form filled out so that they could simply change their mailing address. I mean, you know, I understand there's process and protocol, but this is rather ridiculous. So if that could be one of the things that we can discuss in terms of streamlining this process online, and if the relevant officer could just respond about us moving maybe to a much more efficient way in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Ms Sprague, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm sorry to hear about that, Councillor. I'm not sure what would have happened. It should be a relatively simple process, even for someone to call the customer service centre and get that resolved very quickly. So I'd be happy to follow up with the resident if you'd like us to get in contact with them and try and find out what went wrong and certainly fix it for future.
Thank you, Ms Sprague. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Thanks, Ms Sprague. I did go and attend, like I said, so we've got it sorted, but I will give you those details so that we can just ensure that that doesn't happen in the future. So thanks for that. The Sustainability Festival yesterday was absolutely huge event. I am so impressed with the team, so thank you so much for putting on such a fantastic show. I think Councillor Memeti and I have always said in the past that the Dandenong Market is probably a fantastic location to have such events, as well as my fellow colleague, Councillor Richard Lim. We've been saying that this is the best way moving forward to not only promote this incredible market that we have within our municipality, but also to encourage our residents to learn about sustainability within our municipality. So a huge congratulations to our team. I'm really keen to see what the numbers were with that as well, but really enjoyed that day, and I'm sure the residents did as well. So really well done with that one. Speaking of sustainability, a huge congratulations to our team for our Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Day that was held on Saturday 25th at Reeves Reserve. What a success story this is. So we have got the highest amount of vehicles that went through on Saturday, 1,143 vehicles if I'm correct, and 60 tonnes of rubbish, reusable items have been taken out of our landfill. So these items, the good items, will be donated while the others will be recycled. So a huge congratulations to our team for such an incredible result. Really, really impressed with that. And then something else that I noticed as well that I wasn't aware of, and I'm not sure if our residents are, but we're also doing, what's called a homeware collection as well. So basically it's called a home cycle. So as of the 7th of March to the 18th of March, residents can actually place used items such as clothing, linen, homewares, toys, games, sporting equipment, small electrical items inside their yellow bins. Am I correct in saying that? Because if that is the case, that is absolutely phenomenal. Are we marketing this and letting our residents know that this is happening, because this is a great initiative, and yet again more landfill that won't be ending up more items that won't be ending up in landfill. So if I could just have confirmation of that actually taking place from the relevant officer, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr Keysborough, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, you're spot on. It is a program that we continue to run where people can use their yellow bins to put all sorts of products, and there has been a widespread campaign essentially showing what you can and can't put in. So, you know, we're hoping that post later this month they'll be able to give an update on how successful that has been. So thank you for highlighting it.
Thank you, Mr Keysborough. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Keysborough. This is obviously an area that I'm very, very passionate about, and I'm sure many of our residents are. So great work once again, and outstanding results. Which brings me back to more sustainability and rubbish in our municipality. I'm not sure if everyone's aware, last year I did a massive Clean Up Australia Day with my family and some local residents to clean up all 26 parks in my ward. It wouldn't be just of me to not do that again this year, so I am encouraging all of my residents to reach out and assist me with this. Many hands make light work, so I will be putting out a post on my social media, and I'm hoping that council will also assist me with the social media aspect of this. I am going to smash out all 26 parks as I did last year with my family. My son, who's undergoing chemo, is also going to be joining me and assisting me, so if he's able to do it, I'm sure everyone else can. I will also have a schedule of estimated timeframes of where I'll be at which park during the day, and then I will also be hosting a sausage sizzle. If that doesn't entice you, I don't know what will. A sausage sizzle at the end of the day, just to say thanks to the residents and also to give them a bit of a meet and greet and talk about local issues as well. So watch this space. That is happening this Sunday, March 5th. I know it's very short notice. Unfortunately, a lot of events have been taking up a lot of our time, so I am going to hustle really, really hard this week to ensure that I can get that up and running on Sunday. So please, any residents and any fellow councillors that would like to join me would also be great. 26 parks, I think I did it in like 14 hours last year, so it was a massive day, but I am really committed to keeping our municipality spick and span, and in particular my ward, so really, really keen to see how that event pans out on Sunday. So that's all from me. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Formoso. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Mayor. Last fortnight I was very busy. Actually, just want to try to make it short as possible. First of all, I'd like to thank Jody Osman, his team, Jamie Thorley and Warren Noah. Spent a bit of time, about 2 hours with me, tour around Springvale Activity Centre to try to fix some problem or try to find out what's the best way to handle some issue. And also the Wednesday after, I had a chance to tour Springvale Activity Centre with former CEO, John Benny. Just want to appreciate him, his contribution to our city, and he gave me a lot of good advice. And hopefully I can use this advice for the benefit of our city in the future. On Saturday, the 11th of February, it's like Councillor Sophie already mentioned, we attend opening ceremony of the new site Salvation Army in Dandenong. On Monday, the 13th of February, meeting with Bright Moon, just to discuss so many issues that they have at the moment. And because they seem to need my help all the time, almost every day with me. On Wednesday, I have a citizenship ceremony with Mayor and also the 2 MP from 2 different parties. On Friday, the 17th of February, I attended Vietnamese Museum Australia Gala Dinner at Melbourne Town Hall with, Councillor Cr Jim Memeti, with Deputy Mayor Lana Formoso, and also Deputy Mayor from the City of Monash, and also with the Director from Monash Health and also his team. On Saturday, the 18th of February, Mayor and I attended Australian Vietnamese of Art Lunar New Year at Springvale Multicultural Place. And after that, we went to Ubuntu Black Rhino Sport event at Harmony Square as well with other councillors like Rhonda Garad, is that right? I forgot all about some. Oh, Lana Formoso, sorry, I forgot to do. And on Sunday morning, I had a bit of chance again to attend Victorian Heart Hospital, probably the best in the world according to my knowledge. Because I've been working in hospital for the last 8 years. When I saw that, I was so impressed with Daniel Andrew, with Minister of Health, and so many professors attended on that day. It's just amazing. I think we are a lucky country on earth, actually. I look at the new equipment, I said, my goodness me, we are very, very lucky. And on the afternoon, I went with Mayor Ian Foster and Deputy Mayor and myself and Councillor Jim Memeti to attend what we call fundraising for Turkey and Syrian. Is that right? Yeah, for Syrian, that's right. Earthquake, that one. On Tuesday, 21st, I had a meeting with insurance company again regarding to Bright Moon just want to know how much we're going to get from the insurance, how we're going to use the site of Bright Moon to celebrate Buddhist ceremony in the very, very near future, in early March. And we had a very good discussion, and we had some idea about how we go about how to talk to our council as well in the future. And also the insurance act very, very promptly, very quickly. Honestly, they thank me that is part of the negotiation with the insurance company. And on Wednesday, the 22nd, I had a bit of a chance again to meeting Monash Health team. So the idea is we have another fundraising. Professor Nick Fraser, the director of Monash Children's Hospital, and so many other professors and doctors, are going to ride a bicycle for 1,000 kilometers to raise funds for Monash Health and so many other research as well. And the outcome of that night, gala dinner, they informed me that included after gala dinner, I raised some more money, a couple of $1,000 as well, all add up about more than 1.4 million for Monash children. That's a great one. And late afternoon, I had a chance again to meet with Bright Moon again. They invited me to discuss about their committee. They tried to re-elected some committee member. They want to put me as a deputy president, whatever. I said in conflict of interest. I just helped them to advise any issue they want to know about. Sunday the 26th, I attended with Deputy Mayor. I was Deputy Mayor Eden Foster and also Rhonda Garad, our councillor. It's a great success at Dandenong Market. It's a great one, and hopefully we can do every second year. 1 year at Dandenong Market, and the next year at Springvale Activity Centre. Hopefully we're going to at least get message across to different culture, different group of people, not just Dandenong Market. I don't see many people from Springvale at all yesterday, honestly. And also in the afternoon, I attended Albanian festival hosted by Albanian Australian Kashawa community with the mayor, myself, and who else? Only two of us, isn't it? With Lee Talamas, yeah. And in the morning, this morning, Deputy Mayor and I, we attend Sister Works. They really need a lot of help from our council, especially the room, the too small, very crowded, very cluttered. Therefore, we hopefully in the near future we can find a good place for them to move and also to help to sell their goods. And also I give a lot of idea how to fundraising as well. Thank you for that. Regarding the question, I don't have any question because so far, the last fortnight, I already discussed with a relevant officer already. Therefore, I have nothing much for the last fortnight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, it's been a very busy fortnight, I know, as the sentiment has been echoed by many of my colleagues, so I'll be very brief tonight. I had the opportunity to attend, I know several councillors went earlier in the day, the fundraiser for at Fighters Express for the Turkish and the Syrian earthquake. That was a huge event for the community turning out, and it shows that when our community rallies behind it, there are often huge successes that can be achieved. A special shout out to Sinanaka for the work that he's put into it. At the end of the day, after everything being tallied, they raised $53,026.30, which off one day's event is absolutely phenomenal. And it just shows how well the community comes together. My first question this evening is regarding the Wakta Reserve wetlands. I had a couple of calls from a couple of residents who attend the dog park, and I went down and attended myself. When the boardwalk was being constructed, there was some blocks that were put in to block the drain so that no more water would flow into the wetlands, whilst that they could then construct the work underneath for the boardwalk. Now, the boardwalk's been finished, however, the water level has not returned, and several residents are saying that the water level is getting drier and drier and depleted, and there's never any water coming in, with the water being quite stagnant. Could I ask the relevant officer to investigate this in terms of, one, whether potentially the blocks have fully been removed so water can flow again, and what is occurring with that?
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Keysborough, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, I'm aware of that particular issue. I certainly take that on notice and will investigate. It could well be that we've had, as compared to prior to Christmas, a little bit less rain in the last couple of months. But yeah, we'll look into that and I'll get you a response in the next couple of days.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Dark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My next question is from a resident by the name of Terry, who I know has raised some concerns in the past regarding the Kendra Place walk through to Bloomfield Road. He has a larger electric scooter to get around on. He takes his dog up to the dog park every day. He has an issue where it's actually been designed such that he actually can't get his electric scooter through. He went through once before and almost flipped the scooter as he tried to manoeuvre through the bends of the way that the old structure was put in place. I did ask council officers to have a look, however, he hasn't heard from anybody for several months, and when I ran into him at Wachter Reserve during the week, he said that he basically goes the long way around and travels almost an extra couple of kilometres to head down towards Kingsclear, go back up to Bloomfield every day. He's asked whether it was possible to have a site meeting with the relevant officers, sort of show, and he's happy to come down in his scooter and show how he actually can't get through and the issues are there. If we could please organise a meeting with him.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, I'm aware of that, and as soon as I saw the initial or the second inquiry that I think you sent through probably last week, I directed my staff to meet the resident on site and to work out exactly how best we can either modify the barriers or inform him of another alternative way, but certainly the preference is to make sure that he can get through, and if it means we have to modify the footpath, then we'll do so. But certainly I would hope that the resident would be having a meeting this week, as I've instructed, but I'll follow up.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Dark.
Thank you. Well, this is going to look like I'm picking on the major engineering project, but I'm not this week, I swear. My next question, I've had 2 residents email me regarding Eildon Drive. It hasn't been swept for a couple of weeks. It's happened on 2 occasions now, and there's, with Eildon Drive, a lot of old gum trees that are consistently dropping leaves. The residents have been down to the customer service centre and received the dates in which the sweep is scheduled, and they actually calendarise it and look forward to the street sweeper coming, which hasn't come. If I could just get an update on when it's planning on being swept, and also how this has occurred a couple of times without it being swept.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm aware of we had one issue with a sweeper that caused us delay. So I've asked the staff to provide me with some information as to when that occurred and how quickly we can get back to this particular location. Again, I should have an update within the next couple of days on that.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. My next question is from the proprietors of Street Food Turkey in Chandler Road, Keysborough. It's a very large, very busy Turkish restaurant. I've mentioned it in this council chamber in the past. They were successful after a lot of lobbying from myself, I know Councillor Tan has mentioned as well, to extend the street seating and street dining that's there. Now, they have, I suppose, a line of sight from their shop, and next door is a laundromat that's there. The owner of the laundromat had given consent for an extension of to the front of their shop as well, because not many people are there at night, so that Street Food Turkey had their facility for some additional diners to sit outside and eat. They've had, unfortunately, run into an issue with council and with the planning compliance officers who have come down on site saying that the tables need to be removed and the site needs to be brought down. If we could please have a conversation to find out what options are. I'm just wary that the laundromat is never used very late at night, and there's opportunity and potentially this business is being affected quite hard by the loss of some outdoor seating.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, Councillor Dark, we'll have a look into that and respond to you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. My final question is with regards to 32 Assembly Drive in Dandenong South. I've had a phone call from a couple of occupiers within that complex who, it's a complex of factories that are there. One of the owners that actually operates a blinds business and is being substantially affected by what I would say is a phenomenal amount of pallets being stocked incredibly high. It actually is higher, when I was down site, higher than the roof of the top of the factory of the roof. They're parking in car parks in the middle of the complex. There would at least be 200 pallets scattered all throughout the complex, stacked very, very high without any strapping or anything locking them in place. They're just randomly stacked up. The person who operates a blind business is having issues getting their vehicles in and out. I have raised it with the planning director, but there still seems to be no action down site. If we could please urgently have a look, one, from a potential fire risk that it's dried timber, and two is that given that they're in essence 9 metres high, without any barriers or anything tying it in, the potential safety risk.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr Jackson, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'll need to look into that tomorrow to see what action has been taken and if it hasn't yet, we'll get our compliance team down there to have a look and resolve the issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackson. Councillor Dark, any further? So since our last meeting, I've too, like all our councillors, have attended quite a number, so I'll go through some of them. I did attend an event at the Springvale Botanical Cemetery, hosted by the Australian Centre for Grief and Bereavement, celebrating 25 years of service. But they also made an announcement of a name change to Grief Australia. They provide a lot of support to grieving people, whether it be through loss, but not just through loss, through other experiences of grief, whether it be relationship changes or perhaps losing loved ones from overseas or other sorts of concerns relating to loss. So it was a lovely event to attend that. And hearing of people's grief is always quite difficult, but to know that there is support out there for anyone who's going through grief and loss, that Grief Australia have experienced professionals who can provide that relevant support and evidence-based support. So it's great to see that they are going strong. I also attended citizenship ceremonies with Councillor Lim and also Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso. It is so lovely to see that 400 new citizens created on that day. My cheeks were hurting by the end of it, I must admit, with all the smiles, but it is always a lovely event to be able to celebrate that with new citizens in our municipality. And it's also lovely that sometimes in the shops people will stop me and say that you were part of my citizenship ceremony, and that's something that really makes this role so, I guess, so rewarding, just having that little impact on someone by being able to be there for their citizenship ceremony. So I just wanted to impart that on everyone today. I also attended the flag raising ceremony out here in Harmony Square to celebrate the Kosovo Independence Day on the 17th of February. Again, another event that just highlights our diversity and our multiculturalism and how beautiful it is that we can celebrate these important events and milestones for our residents. With Councillor Lim, and also Councillor Troung, I attended the Australian Vietnamese Arts Incorporated Lunar New Year Festival, which was a lovely celebration of colour, culture, and a little fashion parade by the little ones, which was lovely. So we were all part of the award ceremony for the fashion parade. And that same evening, I attended the launch of the Junior Rhinos at the Ubuntu Black Rhinos basketball event. And so again, another celebration of our multiculturalism and how sport and community come together to unite. Also attended the Greater Dandenong Table Tennis Association inaugural female-only session, and it's so great to see more and more females entering sport. I must admit, I've not been one of those women. I do like to watch, and Deputy Mayor Formoso can attest to my uncoordinated sporting abilities. And I think so can Councillor O'Reilly as well, who has footage of me attempting to play table tennis. But I do encourage women, men, boys, girls, anyone to try it out. It is a great social space. It is a great space to try new things. So I might head down there again and maybe try and learn some new sporting skills. But I do encourage our community to take up some sport, whether it be table tennis, whether it be swimming, maybe even golf, which leads me to my next event, which was the 2023 City of Greater Dandenong Take a Swing for Charity Golf Day. Another opportunity for business and residents to come together to raise some money for much needed causes. This particular event was raising funds for, now the name of the organisation escapes me, but they raise money to provide laptops to children in schools who don't have access to technology. So it's such an important cause, because I do know that there are a lot of kids in our municipality who are probably lacking in that area in terms of access to technology. So it is a fantastic annual event that raises much needed money for various causes. Another highlight of the Mayor's role that I've recently been involved in are a few of the student leadership badge presentations. So I attended the Dandenong West Primary School Assembly, the Silverton Primary School, and the Chandler Park Primary School Assemblies to present their 2023 leadership badges and certificates. And it's always great to see little kids really stepping up and wanting to be leaders in their communities. So I'm sure I've met one of our future councillors and future mayor in amongst that group. And like my fellow councillors have mentioned, the Greater Dandenong Sustainability Festival yesterday. What a fantastic event. That was fantastic, and thank you to the relevant officer and your team for putting that together. I think the Dandenong market as a place for this event was key, because it's bringing in people that are already shopping there, passing through, maybe a bit curious to want to know a little bit more about how to be sustainable, and manage to capture a great audience. So I too am looking forward to the numbers and the statistics on that, and particularly compared to last year as well. It was a fantastic event, and I learnt a lot from that too. So thank you. Ms. Weatherall, are there any questions from our last meeting to be taken?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Any questions from the last meeting taken on notice will be provided in the minutes of tonight's meeting.
Thank you. And item 7, urgent business. As there is no urgent business, I declare this meeting closed at 8:39 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.